Those of us who've been concerned by the absolutely absurd levels of mass immigration into the UK have been told for years, decades even, that we're evil and stupid and racist and full of a pathological hatred of anybody who's slightly different to us. Of course, this is a complete lie. Admittedly, you do get the odd ranting and raving nutcase every now and again that the BBC and The Guardian will be all too happy to put front and centre of their media output. Yet the reality is that millions of people have these concerns, and they are normal people. They're your kids' teacher, your local car mechanic, your next door neighbour. Yet after years of opprobrium and smears, it seems to me that at long last the conversation is actually changing, and more people are starting to talk about the impacts of mass immigration. I think that's for two key reasons. One, white Brits now make up only a third of London, and that number is shrinking by the day. Second to that, estimates project that by 2070, white Brits will be a minority in Great Britain itself. Nobody voted for any of this. In fact, people voted against it whenever they got the chance. However, it's been forced on us by a political elite and held in line by a screeching liberal media that makes out that anyone who's got concerns about it is some inhumane monster. But as I say, I think people are increasingly wisening up to that scam that's gone on from the mainstream and starting to voice their concerns all the more, and you can see this reflected in the political narrative in the mainstream. The most prominent example of this is the architect of mass immigration himself, Tony Blair, stating that the influx of migrants under his leadership placed a strain on communities. Yeah, people did mention that at the time, Tony, but you called them all evil racist lunatics who need to get with the 21st century. And even more absurdly, here he is complaining that we've let too many people in from the third world after Brexit.
If you do end up trying to do this, as what we've done with Brexit, what's the result? We've now got higher levels of immigration than ever before, and we've swapped out usually single people coming from Europe, as I say, to work in things like the hospitality sector, for families from Asia and Africa. I mean, how has this helped us?
It hasn't helped us, Tony, but the real question here is why the change in tone all of a sudden? Well, I'll hazard a guess at that, if I may. I think that the political elite have realised that the public have woken up to the scam they've played on them, and now they're trying to sound a note to make out that they sympathise and understand the concerns of the public and expect us to forget that it's them themselves who forced this on us in the first place. Now, if there was anybody in politics I would say don't trust, it would be Tony Blair. The level of intransigence the man shows is off the charts. And remember, he was telling Keir Starmer after his two-tier behaviour recently just to ignore all the criticism. Just like he ignores how he killed 1 million people in Iraq and created a vacuum for militant organisations like ISIS to form. So in conclusion, it seems to me that the immigration issue is so big that it has the magnitude to take them out of power. Henceforth, they're trying to sound a note to make out they sympathise with the public. But remember, this is all just a scam. We've just had this for 14 years with the Tories, who pretended they were concerned about immigration too, but then just ramped up the numbers year after year after year and called you evil, racist and stupid if you objected. We should be very wary of globalists like Tony Blair. After all, it doesn't make any difference to him if Britain goes down the pan. He'll just jet off to LA or Singapore or Dubai. But for us, this is our home. We don't have anywhere else to go. These are just my thoughts, however. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel.